guys? Welcome back to Bid Nerd, your daily nerd out on the most interesting car of the day from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites. My name is John Polnik. I'm your host, coming to you from the Container Park in Las Vegas, Nevada. That's downtown Las Vegas, Nevada. We're right off the strip here, along with my partner Michael Deeb, who's coming to you from San Francisco. This is a West Coast show, man. We bring it to you from all over the joint. So what do? We narrow down. We go through Marked, Bring a Trailer,
Hundreds
all these different auction sites, P-Car Market, whatever. And we just narrow it down to the most interesting car of the day. Not necessarily the best, but the most interesting. What is the car that you want to know how much it's worth, right? You're out there going, what's the car that we want to know what the market's doing? Well, we figure it out, and we bring you that car. So the car today that we're going to... Michael Deeb, did I say hello? Did we even say hello?
Hey,
we did.
What's up? Let's go, man. We're in a rush, dude.
Screw this. Let's just get to the car, because that's why people came to the show. They really don't care about us. Why would they? Here's the car of the day. This is the most interesting car of the day.
All right, JP, really quickly on Bring a Trailer. Is this, let me find it, 1978 Porsche 911 SC Coupe with 45,000 miles, offered out of Portland, Oregon. The car is basically stocked with a few sort of like upgrades. He changed the sugar scoops to the H4 headlights, which I think are a prettier design, and I think you would agree. He's also put in like a Wevo shifter to give it sort of a short shift action. This car is equipped with sports seats, and dare I say, kind of unusual in Grand Prix white. This era of cars, blacks and reds and yellows were way more popular. White is actually kind of rare, I think, and I'm curious to see if you agree with that. From this era, records accompany this car from 1995 on. So this car comes with a strong grip of records. And JP, I want to commend you because over the years, as we've been friends for a long time, you have stated to me in so many words that the 911 SC is sort of the Goldilocks air-cooled car. It's not as terrible as the mid-year cars, and maybe not as great or as venerable as the 6.4s and 993s. But this car strikes a chord that is just right. And I am finally starting to wake up and smell the 3-liter. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. This car really gets me. This is a car I would want to own. I love it. If this car didn't have a sunroof, as petty as that sounds, I would probably bid on it. But I might pass and wait for the perfect one to show up. But this car really is nice. And SCs have definitely been on the move. I know about a year ago you struggled when cars like this started to bring more than $45,000 because you couldn't see the value in it. But now that I think we've started to accept by osmosis that this is the new value point for these cars, which is north of 50 grand, still under 100 grand, but certainly they're bringing more money than they once did. This is an excellent example, and I think is going to represent, the contemporary market for a good SC. This car seems to tick all the correct boxes. This car is offered out of Portland, Oregon. I don't know if I mentioned that, but I just want to tell you it's up in the Pacific Northwest. And the mileage, I think this car does have a six-digit VIN, a six-digit odometer, so you can see that they're correct, because the 78 doesn't have a 17-digit VIN, so there's no Carfax company in the car. But look at that underneath. The car looks really clean and looks like a lot of stuff is refreshed under there. So, JP, what do you have to say in addition to that buyers should know when looking at an SC?
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. 911 SCs are kind of like the Rolex Submariner of cars. It's a classic shape. It is the 911 that everybody knows. Does it have as much poop as a Carrera? From 84 and up. Just a little bit less, but in a lot of ways, I think a more fun car to drive. The 3-liter is a fast revving engine, not as fast revving, honestly, as the 2.7 from the mid-year cars, which, you had just mentioned about the cars. You said not as terrible, and so I have to take issue with that. I don't think that's really a way that you can
I thought you were asleep.
Mid-year cars are absolutely not terrible. They're fantastic.
I maybe what I should quantify is that I don't have a problem with the 2.7 and its lack of power. Any good motor can be rebuilt. I don't like the mid-year cars because most of them are narrow body. I only like the mid-year cars when they're Carreras. And I will just admit I'm superficial, and my love of Porsches. A car doesn't have hips, I don't want to dance with it. So I'm just weird like that. I don't. If you gave me a mid-year car that was a non-Carrera car, I would thank you and then put it for sale so that I could get the car I wanted, which would have hips. So there you go.
Well, you and our good friend Dwayne Wick will have to duke it out over narrow body versus wide body. But either way, the 2.7 isn't even really underpowered. I think it's just a matter. It's because the mid-year cars were restricted with all those terrible emissions. The thermal reactors and stuff were just awful, and they caused overheating. If you get a 2.7 that's had all that crap removed, that is a fast revving fun. Perfect. Yeah. Uncork the engine, and it really is a wonderful car to drive. They're a little bit lighter, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're talking about this SC. It's I think a Goldilocks car is a great way to put it. It's in between all those other things. They're insanely reliable. This is an engine and transmission combination that if you maintain this thing properly, this is an heirloom. If people are still allowed to drive by the time your grandkids are old enough to, they could drive this car. And what an amazing thing to hand down to your family. There's all kinds of mods that you can do to kind of make it better. You can endlessly tinker with this car and just have a great time while you're at it and not ruin the value. I just absolutely love this car. And yes, the values of these, though, boy, it used to be that you could always rely on getting an SC for 30-something grand. The nicest one was 30-something grand. And now to get into an SC, you're definitely, you're in the 40s. You can occasionally find them in the 30s for really crappy ones, but a coupe is definitely going to be in the 40s, and nicer ones are definitely up above the 50s. Where do we think this one in particular will hammer? What do you think?
JP, we just have to accept that like this era of car has kind of gone up like 40-50% value. So JP, our car is going to close. Let's see, I have the closing date here. Forgive me just for a second.
Well, while you're looking for that, I want to speak to the whole value idea, the proposition of value. Has the value of these really gone up? In dollars, yes. In real dollars, I don't know, man. I think the new norm, I think the fact is that we haven't been doing this show for a minute, and we're back at it now. And in the time that we took off, inflation has hit in a big way. And, I'm going to just say straight up, I mean, if this was a $35,000 car, call it 2 years ago, $50,000 is the same money. That means that the value hasn't gone up at all. It's just that inflation has gone up that much, and it really has gone up that much, especially when we're talking about cars. You can have an argument about how much inflation is versus how much maybe people claim it is or isn't, or all that, economic hoo-ha. That's for a different show. But when it comes to cars and specifically collector cars, inflation is real, and $45,000 does not get you what $45,000 used to get you. And it's not that these cars are all of a sudden that much better, or people are just now appreciating. It's just that people know that that's how much money you got to dish out for one if you want, because money isn't worth as much as it used to be. So with all that said, what do you think?
All right, so JP, our car closes on Monday the 27th, which is a few days from now. At the moment, the car is sitting at $22,000 on just 2 bids because it's still a young listing. I think this car, because of the attractive colorway, the fact that it's bone stock, it's offered out of Portland, Oregon from our friends at Avant-Garde Motor. I think their 911R is their handle on Bring It Trailer. They are a reputable seller. And then let's take into consideration also the low miles. I think that all of that stuff is going to conspire to bring this car $65,000. I think $65,000 is what's going to take to get this car into your driveway.
What was the miles again?
45,000.
45,000 miles. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I'm with you there. This seller always seems to bring the most money for their cars. Those miles are sometimes we wonder about the legitimacy of low miles when we see cars of this age. But coming from these guys, it's pretty likely to be true. If this were some rando seller on P-Car Market, I'd be like, no way. But this is on Bring a Trailer, and it's from a very reputable seller. So, I think 65 is spot on. We are seeing low mileage ones get that kind of money. If this were a 100,000 mile car or a 120,000 mile car, I don't think it would break 50. People think that their SCs are worth all the money in the world right now, but I think the price for an SC Coupe right now is 45 to 55. This one with low miles, an extra 10 grand. Do I go over and under? That's a tough call. I'm gonna just go. I'm gonna go under, and I'm gonna be wrong. I mean, this one I think this might break a record for an SC. But I'm gonna just go 60 grand.
60
and see what happens.
Cool. Yeah, and if it brought 60, it's a great buy. And if it brought 70, I don't think either one of us would be surprised, because it's hard to find a nice SC Coupe with low miles that's not all ripped to shreds any longer.
Yeah.
So, and you might
remember.
It's understandable why somebody would pay a premium for it. So
remember a nanosecond ago, we were like, oh my God, 87, 88, 89 911 G bodies are bringing 70 or 80 grand. Now it's like, good luck. So, what's this one going to bring?
Yeah.
Next
week, I don't want to get too far ahead, but next week we might see a 3.2 Carrera cab break $100,000. So that's a teaser for next week's show for next week.
Tune in next time. If you guys haven't subscribed, liked, or hit the notification button yet, please do now so you can get the freshest nerds. You definitely don't want stale nerds. So get the latest nerds. Smash that like button. God, I hate saying that. And let's find out how much this car actually hammered for after this word from our sponsor. All right, guys, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed that word from our sponsor. I'm John Polnik, along with my partner, Michael Deeb, back to find out exactly how much this little Porsche sold for, or maybe didn't, on its auction. Michael Deeb, where was this auction and what happened?
So remember, JP, this is the 78 SC from 911R. That's Avant-Garde up in Portland, Oregon, and they bring good cars to market. So this is this part of the show where I get to look you in the eye and go, told you so, because you thought it would sell for 60. I said 65,000, and I got a Yahtzee.
Whoa!
Our car sold for $65,000 on 17 bids. So how you like me now? I get 2 points for that one.
Getting a Yahtzee on this show is really, really hard, you guys.
Yeah.
You have no idea how difficult it is, especially with 911s, because 911 prices sure are all over the place. We're noticing some softening in the market in general. Most asset classes, when it comes to other investments, from crypto to the stock market to real estate, obviously a lot of fluctuation going on in those markets. This is just yet another asset class class that seems to be the most impermeable to all the forces that are going on out there. The 911 air-cooled cars seem to be holding pretty well. This is a 911 SC, for crying out loud, for $65,000. That's
unbelievable.
Pretty bonkers. Now,
don't get me wrong, it's a nice example. It's a really nice example, but wow. I mean, that's still 65 for an SC.
If there is a correction coming, if these other asset classes are getting hit pretty hard, what do you think, Michael? Do you think that it'll eventually catch up to these cars as well?
Yeah. I mean, but again, JP, there's the argument where you say some of these cars, some of these assets will level off and not go down in value because it's just the price of money has gone up. And I got a sneaky suspicion, like these air-cooled 911s that really do have a cult following, and there's a strong secondary market for these assets to, validate the values that have been spent on these. So maybe this car, you can pick it up for $59 next year, but I don't think you're going to be getting this car for $35,000 ever again.
Yeah, and I think absolutely inflation is a factor here. I've been saying it for almost a year now on this show,
and I'm becoming a believer. I've agreed with you for a while, but now I'm seeing it where it's so tangible. Where like a car like this, you look at it and you're like, "Fucking JP is right." Like it's interesting.
The value isn't necessarily going up. It's just that the price of money is going down. And so when you have inflation, I mean, it's a simple fact. $35,000 is $50,000 is the new $35,000.
Right.
Those are the same thing now. It's not that everything that was $35,000 is now all of a sudden worth $50,000. No, they haven't appreciated that much. It's just that the value of money is really, really rapidly plummeting, unfortunately. So keep that in mind when you're doing the math. It's hard. It really is difficult to kind of keep up with this equation.
If you forget what JP said, just remember, pink is the new gray.
There you go. And here's another thing that I think, particularly with these air-cooled 911s, that if there is a bubble burst, or if there is one of any of the 911s that will probably be affected most, I think it would be the SC. I think if we're going to see a significant drop in price, there's just far fewer mid-years out there, and there's just so many SCs, and I think the SCs have proportionately gone up way more than necessarily the mid-year cars, and I think mid-year cars are kind of in vogue too. So I don't know.
Mid-year cars are a little bit different animal because most of them are narrow bodies, but like mid-year Carreras are $100,000 right now.
Yeah,
I mean, they are big money if you can find a mid-year Carrera. And in California, your 74 and 75 are smog exempt, and that has a lot of appeal for the California market because then you can just rip all the smog stuff off, make your tune your car to your taste rather than to the state regulations. So I want to ask you, JP, at $65,000, do you think this car is well bought? Do you like that car at $65,000, knowing what we know about the current market, letting go of the idea that I wouldn't pay $65,000 for an SC because you should have been able to get it for $40,000. Now that that's well and truly behind us, do you think that's really well bought at $65,000? Would that car get your money?
No way, not in a million years. I think this car is another testament to great photography and a good reputation from the dealer that has a history on this particular platform, BAT. They sell a lot of cars here, and somehow they find a lot of great cars, and I think that means that they're probably paying more for a lot of great cars. But a 911 SC, I don't care how good it is, even with inflation where it is, I think is a $50,000 car. If you're paying more than $50,000, it better be the best one there is. And I don't even think this is the best one there is. Great, absolutely fantastic car. Kind of like most investments, if you're in for the long haul, you're fine, right? At some point, ICE cars, the internal combustion cars, are all going to be worthless because we're all going to be replaced by autonomous robots and blah blah blah. But probably for the next 10, 20 years, if you're going to buy a car and be stuck, if you're going to overpay for something, this is a good car to overpay for because it'll eventually catch back up. This is blue chip. Great car. Congrats to the new owner. Probably paid too much. Keep it for a long time, and I'll be wrong. So there it is. All right. Anything else to say before we close this one up?
No, it's a good one. There you go.
All right, guys, you've watched another episode of Bid Nerd, your daily nerd out on the most interesting car of the day from all the automotive enthusiast auction sites. What should they do to that like button and subscribe button, Michael Deeb? There it is. Smash it.
Hulk smash!
Smash that like button, guys. Share with your friends. Let everybody know that we do this every day. We will see you tomorrow with tomorrow's most interesting